Hey, 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 it is Charlotte.
And Daryl.
And we are the Bakers. We are here for another episode of Truth for Daily Living, and we are excited about our next guest. So as soon as we come right back, we will bring her to the studio stage. All right, it's the Bakers. All right, we are ready to bring her up. Hello, hello. How are you?
Hey, I'm great. How are you?
We are doing well. Fine. Well,
all of the above.
It's good to see you on the screen, Khalia.
Yes, likewise. Good to see you guys. Hope everything is going great for you.
It is. So before we jump in, we just want to again say welcome to our podcast, Truth for Daily Living. We are glad that you are joining in with us from wherever you are in the world. Okay. And so for this podcast episode, we have a young lady. She has many degrees, very well versed. So we are excited to have her. But before we start, we want to make sure you go and check out our previous episode that will be loading very soon here. So we talked about two populations that are in need of assistance. They're very vulnerable populations. So make sure you're looking out, checking out our YouTube channel, check out Linktree, Marriage Enrichment. And then you can find out the actual name of that particular guest and when it's coming out. All righty. So with that being said, let's get started with our current guest. And the first question we want to ask is, was really a statement, right?
Okay.
Just introduce yourself. So let our audience know who you are.
Yes. Well, thank you for having me. It is an honor to be on today. Hello, everyone in virtual world. My name is Khalia Wilkinson, author, designer, CEO of Women 31 Living. So excited to be here today. I am also an associate licensed counselor. So yes, wear many hats, and I enjoy everything that I do.
That's great.
Great. So being a licensed counselor, now, do you have your own business or do you do this within another company?
Great question. So I am currently an associate licensed counselor working to become a fully licensed counselor, which is an LPC. Currently, I work at a school. It's called the Day Program, and I'm a school counselor there for students that are from 7th to 11th grade who are just in need of extra support to earn additional credit hours and just to have more of a closer knit environment and versus the massive schools that we are seeing more and more of. It's a smaller setting. And so I'm a school counselor there with about 15 young ladies that I counsel within my circle.
Right. Okay. So I'm sure your day is very, very busy.
It is, but it's a good busy. I'm really able to sew into these young ladies, help them goal set, help them really just shift their mental stage. And it's just such a good feeling to be able to do that.
So are you only counseling young ladies at this stage of the game or what?
Well, good question. So there's 4 counselors that work within the unit. And so there's 2 male counselors, 2 female counselors. Every now and then, if the men in the center are sort of booked and loaded, then the ladies will get young men. But they try to just keep it with,
same gender.
Gotcha. Exactly.
Yeah, and that's wisdom.
That is wisdom.
Yeah, because I totally understand working around youth and teens, the years that I was in the public school. And even outside of that certain like young ladies are not going to necessarily share certain things with men. Right. And that's fine because they don't feel comfortable. Sure. So it's good you guys have incorporated that into your program that way. I'm sure it's probably no other option anyway.
And are the young ladies pretty receptive as to the tools that you're providing them, and then also you're able to connect with them at a personal and another level as opposed to a surface level?
Once they want
We're going too quick.
No. I think that's a great question. Hey, dive right in there.
Okay.
Once they warm up, some of these young ladies actually have probation officers, or some of them
Mm,
are dealing with stress and anxiety. Some of them just need a smaller class setting. So it just depends on their reason for being there, what their history has been, how much they kind of let someone in. I am blessed to have young ladies that, for the most part, they get comfortable pretty quick and they're able to kind of disclose and share what's going on, and which is easier to pour into them once they're, open to it.
yeah, I think it's all about you also, your approach to them as
Sure.
well. And if you're open enough and you're able to share part of your life as well to help them to understand that you're a real person and give them that outlet and that way to that door open to really allow them to talk about themselves. And then a lot of people and young ladies and young men, they don't care unless they know that you care, right?
Mhm.
And that's important right there as well, right? And so
Very.
you have to use wisdom in
Mhm.
connecting, and then also making sure that they are in a safe environment as well. Is that
Daryl, yes,
covered?
absolutely. To that point, I had someone the other day say, "How are you so calm? It sounds like you're in a very kind of heavy or intense environment." And I said, "Really, it's about listening." A lot of these young people just don't feel like they have a voice and are heard. And
Mhm.
so once I just kind of let them get it all off their chest, good, bad, or indifferent, and don't hinder their viewpoint. I need to hear everything they're feeling and thinking, and even the experiences that they've lived through, before I can, offer anything, because they're like, what can you tell me that I don't already know?
Mhm. Mhm. That's true. That's true. I remember when I was in the school system, although I wasn't as a counselor. Again, like I said, when kids are in difficult situation, they are willing to listen to whomever will listen.
That's
And
right.
some of the things I heard were so heartbreaking. And
Right.
I had to learn to keep a straight face, kind of a blank face. Not to mean I had no emotions, but the stuff that I heard literally just make anyone kind of like break down. But I still had to be that mountain, which I'm sure you do, in order to help them get through it, process through what they can do right where they are. Is that right?
That's exactly right, and they'll test you. They'll see how much you can handle, right? They'll see how far they can go with what they have, kind of buried deep within all the layers, to
Hmm.
see if you're gonna flinch, to see if you're gonna pull back, to see if you're gonna be, kind of chastising them, or if you're gonna say, "Wow, okay, then what happened?" And that's
Mhm.
when they're like, "Wait, what? You heard what I just said, right?" "Yeah, I heard you."
Mhm,
Mhm.
mhm, mhm. They don't
Yeah.
realize, and probably internally you're like,
You're
"Oh
like,
my
"Ah,
goodness."
yeah."
You just wanna scream like, "No." Yeah.
Right,
That's
right.
how I was
Exactly.
as well.
So
And
true.
it just sounds like one of the greatest attributes as far as the communication is being a good listener, right? And not
Absolutely.
interjecting, and then not being prejudging and being judgmental as well,
Mm.
because that right there will close a locked door. I mean, that'll slam the door shut,
Mhm,
sealed. You would not be able to get in if you had a jackhammer. You still won't be able to get into
mhm.
into the minds, right? So
That's
that's
right.
important.
Yeah.
And
I
then
Go ahead.
let me ask you this as well. I know we're going fast, we're going deep, man, because you listen, some of the
Yes.
things you said already basically is so interesting, right? So,
Mhm.
what do you do to detox from all of the information that you're
Yes.
receiving, because you cannot, handle all of the pressure
Oh
and
my.
everything that they pouring on you. So you have to detox as well, and you have to compartmentalize some of those conversations as well. So
Excellent,
what's
excellent question.
what's your way of doing that?
Yes. What's my remedy?
Yes.
I definitely think that I love taking walks, and even, running and jogging. That helps me just kind of physically release any tension I might have felt, or
Sure.
internalizing what's happening. I find a way, even with just like stretching and yoga, things of that nature, to breathe That's important. And really allowing that to kind of pass through. But most importantly, definitely having a prayer life for me, it is a non-negotiable. I have to take that stuff to someone bigger than myself to figure out how to navigate those things, right? Because what may be the right answer for one student isn't the best answer for, and it can be almost identical situations, but it doesn't mean it's the exact same response that that student needs. And so I personally have to seek, the Holy Spirit, the counselor, my counselor,
Yes,
in the
yes.
spiritual sense, to figure out what's my next move with this particular situation. And then secondly, I think every therapist needs a therapist. So
Yeah, there you
whether
go.
it's a small group of, women or men or what have you, or just a one-on-one, I have a life coach that's amazing. Just someone I can kind of pour into. And also I have an amazing LPCS. She's my supervisor, and she's able to also be a listening ear for some of those situations. And she's been in the game a lot longer than I have. Her name is Crystal Cummings, and she's amazing. And she's able to offer resources and, her experiences that just help me leaps and bounds versus me trying to figure it all out myself. It's just one of those things when you have that connection
Oh, that's
and
beautiful.
network.
That's
Absolutely.
beautiful. Now, the acronyms that you use, and for the sake of the audience, can you break those letters down for us?
Yeah, all those wonderful degrees.
Yes, all the letters, all the alphabets. Okay, so an ALC is an associate licensed counselor.
Okay.
An LPCS is a licensed professional counselor supervisor. And so I'm under her care, so to speak, right now. And once I earn, I think it's like 3,000 hours of supervision, then
Okay.
I will be then granted my own licensure as a LPC, which is a licensed professional counselor.
So that takes about 2 years then when you're talking about those
Exactly.
hours, right?
Exactly.
So how far in are you at this point?
I am just a few months in.
Okay.
So I have probably about a year and a half left. Yeah.
Okay. Very good.
And it will fly by.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm
it
excited
will.
for that.
You keep dealing with those heavy cases, man, and be here before you know it.
Listen, the hours are accruing quickly. So
Yes. But let me say now, even in the middle at this point, just we commend you because we know us having a non-for-profit ourselves, although yours is for-profit, I believe, right? Is it for-profit or not-for-profit?
correct. Yes, Women 31 Living is for profit. Yes.
Yes. So, and let me touch on that because we always like to inform our audience because we're not just speaking to married couples, we're speaking to anybody that's listening. So, for profit is just as it sounds. It's something you created a organization to create profit. That's your main goal, besides whatever your mission is. Whereas a not for profit organization, that is not their goal to necessarily make profit, although they can. You can speak to your attorneys about that. We're not giving advice, but we're saying, that's not your goal. Your goal is to help a particular group of people, a population, because you feel they have a certain situation and you want to have this mission you have to help them. So I just wanted to clear that up between for-profit and not-for-profit. There we go, business lovers. There you go.
Well done. Well done. I love it.
Yeah. So the mission is basically, when you sum up what you do, I think is, like he said, is deeper than, of course, the clinical world would say. It's really to save the lives of the people you come in contact with. And that happens not just on the clinical side, may I say. It happens because of you being in the faith.
Amen.
You agree?
Touch and agree. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's very important from our perspective, that you can have practicality we believe practicality with spirituality. That's what we really talk about, our premise, even with our company, DNC Marriage Enrichment. You have to have both. Because when you're talking about the lives of whether it's a single person, a married person, a teenager, everybody is looking, like you said, they need to be looking to plug into the actual source. And so you are one of those conduits that would allow these young women to find, if they didn't know what the source was, you just being who you are. You don't have to preach and have a big, Bible and crowd. No, it's just being the light.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Would you agree that that's how you're able to really infiltrate and make a difference?
Yes, 1,000%. Charlotte, it's funny. A funny story. One day I had 3 young ladies that particular day that came to school, and I meet with all of them on a regular basis. First young lady went through her weekend. She was great. The second young lady came to me and said, I'm really wanting to learn more about God. So my antennas are like, okay, Lord, where do we go? Because it's still a school setting. Show me what to do about this. And I said, well, tell me more about what that looks like. She's in a kind of a foster care system right now. And she said, there's a library there and there's a lot of books about God. So I found one and I'm really like enjoying it. And I want to learn more about God. 15 years old. I said, well, that's awesome. If there's anything that I can do to help you with that, you just let me know. About an hour later, the third young lady comes and she says, I've been watching TikTok a lot and there's been a lot of prayer videos and I want to learn more about God. And I said, okay. I said,
right person.
Yes, I said, TikTok, huh? She said, yeah, they just do these really cool prayers. And I said, okay. So they both left and went to lunch and I got to work. I started praying like, okay, Lord, what do I do? Well, I actually had some soul searching books that I had in my own personal library in my office. And I felt just the leading of the Holy Spirit. Just add that to your library for everyone to see, basically. In that same week, you guys, both of the young ladies came in. They come in, grab coloring books or whatever they want from the library. Both of them grabbed a soul searching book and asked if they could take it with them. And I said, absolutely. When you're done with it, bring it back. But that was a way of me not having to say, all right, let's get the Bible out. I just added it to my library and they just happened to come upon it that week. And so it was such a God thing. And I was so excited and, still, of course, praying for them. But yeah, it was just such a God moment. And I was like, that's awesome. That is awesome.
The principle that comes to mind, seeking you shall find, right? So they were seeking answer and they found a direction and found some answers in which you were provided indirectly, but directly, unspoken. So that's wisdom right there. So absolutely. So, yeah.
So let's transition to, we're grateful again for you helping the youth, but your company.
Okay.
Because that primarily focuses on grown women. Is that correct?
Yes, Lord.
Is there a certain age group you typically try to?
Now. We're shifting now.
Is there typically a certain age you kind of see that gravitates towards your message for Women 31?
Yes, Women 31 Living work. I would say 18, 19, but something about 19. I think it's because you're about to hit 20 and you're like, okay, wait, but yes, 19 to about 43, 44. I know those sound like weird numbers, but that's kind of right where I think people are transitioning because they're hitting a different, milestone.
Decade.
Exactly. Yes. Exactly. So there's a shift. Charlotte, and we talked about this as I'm approaching 40. I said, 40 just feels so solidifying, and I'm not even there yet,
Oh my goodness. And one of the things, what did I say? I say, I am unapologetically don't care. And I didn't mean that in a mean way, but that's the kind of attitude when we were talking that kind of comes across, that when you get to a certain, decade, I'm in a different decade than you get to the point where certain things in my 20s or my 30s, I just don't view the same anymore. And that's a good thing. That means you're growing. That means you're maturing. So when you're dealing with these populations, what type of services do you provide through Women 31? Is it Women 31? I always flip the names.
Yes, no, you're
31 Living. Now, wait a minute. Before you answer it, I'm sorry. My mind is racing because it's so great. Tell us how you came up with the name.
Yes, Lord. So,
No,
you
I
know,
think I know, but go ahead.
yeah,
Uh-huh.
Dara, I want to hear what you think. What you got? What you
Proverbs
got?
31.
Woo!
We got
That's
it.
exactly right. It was really laid on my heart after just really studying one year. I think it was after my second child, Camille. I really got into the Proverbs 31, that chapter, and realized that this woman, although she displayed all the things, I really just doing a study learned it wasn't all at one time. She wasn't, she wasn't crazy. Like, she was strategic. She was able to map certain things out, set systems in place. She had a support group, a network, a tribe. And I really just said, Lord, what do I do with this? And through that, he laid a journey into womanhood, which is actually breaking down Proverbs 31 by verse and
Oh,
making
wow.
a daily journal out of it for women to really just kind of delve deeper and study what that chapter is telling us. And so that's how Woman 31 was birthed. And then my husband, Laurel Wilkinson, shout out to my husband,
My
said,
cousin.
yes, cousin, he said, why don't you add living in it? Because it is a lifestyle. It's one of those things that, we walk out daily. It's something that's not just like a one and done. So
Yes.
yes, Woman 31 Living came from Proverbs 31, just being inspired by that chapter.
So
That's
have
great.
your I don't want to say customers, have the ladies been very receptive to what you're offering, what you've seen thus far?
So far, so it's really funny because I've had a Facebook group for the longest. There's over 1,000 and some women that are a part of that group, which just blesses me, that they would even share social space with me, right? Because we've got
Mhm.
tons of options. But through that group, just really connecting with women, learning what their heart cry was, learning what their needs were, and channeling that into my passion, which is writing. Just opened up so many doors where I've been able to create grow groups, where we gather and just talk through the scripture, talk through real life situations, using what one of my books, Rested and Relevant, which is a powerful title in and of itself,
Hmm.
because a lot of us feel like if we're resting, we're not relevant, or we're not rested.
Hmm.
So, where is our relevance? So Rested and Relevant was a book study that I think it was about 13 women and I did virtually during COVID. And between the laughter and the tears and the epiphanies, the aha moments, it's just one of those things where I felt like God was like, keep going. This is a lane where we, as women, and I'm sure men need it too, but we have to unpack these things and uncover what the depth and the purpose is behind them so that we can grow.
And I think as a woman, biological woman,
Yes, yes, yes.
that I have found a lot of the people that I've hung around, we think, like you're saying, you feel like if you're resting, that means you're not being productive.
Yes.
Right. You always, I'm the type of person that's like, I'm going, going, going. And I found out, they say you can do multiple things at one time. You really can't. I mean, you can, but you're not really productive.
Right.
So with that model in mind, I've always thought, okay, if I do this and I do this and I do this and I do this, but what have you really, yeah, very little progress in all areas. But it took me time because I always felt like if I'm not doing something, I'm not relevant. So then I'm
Mm-hmm.
not rested. Right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So with that being said, it's like, how important is it and how does that play into our mental and emotional well-being as women?
Mm-hmm. I
How much
think,
do you think that plays?
yeah, I think that's a great question, Charlotte. I think for us, it's really settling within ourselves that God called us to be both. And that concept almost flips our brains because it's like, wait, you're telling me I can be both rested and relevant? Like, how? Where's the book on that? And so I think learning just who you are and what triggers you. And this is my counseling talk, like what triggers you, what gets you going, and how do you rest? Like learning those specific things really encompass a wellness package, for lack of a better word, for our mental and emotional state, because we can then say, I'm burning the candle at both ends because I feel, my left eye is twitching, or I'm dehydrated and I can feel that. So really being in tune with our sort of physiological and our mental and emotional state. Like I feel I'm walking through a fog, brain fog, right? Women, a lot of women, that was like a really popular thing during COVID. Like all the articles were coming out on brain fog because we just felt zombie-like. To answer your question, I think with just understanding our mental and emotional state and what works and doesn't work for us personally, we can then create a system that is sort of a health and wellness system for us that works for, it's individualized, if you will. So I don't know if that answers the question.
Yes.
Yeah, it does. And what I heard, because I interpret things a little bit different, basically, it's kind of like
wonderful
creating a balance, right?
Yeah.
And having a balance, meaning that you're going to be synchronized with what you should be doing based upon what you're doing at the moment. Okay. Right.
Daryl, I would agree with that. But, Laurel and I always talked about just the term work-life balance. And we've started using life work fit. And I know that's a little bit different, but life work fit is how is work and even fitness, or how is work and all the things fitting into our current life? Because there is no balance per se. And I think especially those of us who strive for, I've got to find a balance, I've got to find a balance. For me, it was to a point of exhaustion trying to find that balance until I realized what's fitting in this particular season of my life, what fits and what doesn't. And so that's how I sort of map it and internalize it. What's my work-life fit right now? What's life work fit? How is all of this thing working together right now to make sense? And what's not making sense any longer?
That's good. That's good. Because you have to recognize, if it's not fitting, then of course you don't need to be doing that during this time. Right.
That square peg and a round hole type of.
Yeah. So you can clear your table or your plate, so to speak, and then you can regain focus as to what's important at the moment.
That's exactly right.
That's good.
That's exactly right.
So have you seen that trend occurring in the lives of women as it relates to wellness? And let me do it like a part B as well. So basically, have you seen women or noticed, or maybe you have put others before your own self-care? Self-care is the big term that's been around for a while. Have you put yourself in second position, and have you seen women doing the same thing?
And have you replaced the word self-care with another
right
word, another term?
Well, you know what? I've heard in Christian circles, at Christian conferences, and just different pastors and preachers I've heard say soul care. And I thought that was interesting. And I think there's a difference, but I understand where they're going with it because, in the whole sort of spiritual sense, self-care is too much all about me, and I get all of that. I still am an advocate for self-care. But I think also internalizing or understanding soul care too, what that looks like, is important. So great question about that. I think they're about one and the same, although some would argue that they're different. But, while we were quarantined, I studied the self-care wheel, and it actually does include spirituality. So for me, it's okay to still say self-care, although a lot of us automatically go to the spa days and the, mani-pedis, and I'm taking myself out to eat because it's self-care day, but it's actually different kind of pillars to self-care.
And
then the emotional aspect should be included there as well when you're talking about self-care, right?
Yes,
because the fact that you have to make sure that you're emotionally stable in seasons and times, because sometimes those emotions can get out of sync as well. All right. Especially if we're carrying too many burdens and carrying responsibilities that's not necessarily ours, but it's the responsibilities of someone else. And so, and when you said that you have someone that you're able to go to, a colleague that you're able to go to and be able to get the type of care that you need and be able to detox as well, right? So that's important.
And that's why even when we counsel, whether it's just talking in general to someone unmarried or married, I really try to hone in on the point that we are a trichotomy.
Nice.
A body, a soul, and a spirit. So when my mind, when you say self-care, that's where my mind goes automatically. Self-care is body, soul, and spirit. And so many people, like you said, just focus on body.
True.
But you can't separate the three parts of yourself.
You cannot.
So if you're going to take care of one and starve the other two, you're still going to be abnormal.
You can go do all the Botox, all the, waxing and all the things and still feel like something's missing, because it's the emotional, it's the eternal, it's the spiritual, it's the mental, it's the emotional. You don't take care of I love those three. Mental, emotional, and spiritual. If you don't take care of those three things, you won't have the energy really or the consistency to take care of your physical, in my opinion, because you're here in your mind, or you're here wrestling with emotions, or your spirit man is starving. So it's really those three things, in my opinion, that catapult you to do the other physical, financial, social areas of your life, because you can do it from a healthier place.
That's right.
And it's really a disservice to yourself if you don't
deal
with all three components. So we're going to scream that from the rafters. When you see this, whoever sees this, we're going to continue to do that as we counsel. Self-care is body, soul, and spirit. And especially if you're married. Okay, I'm only going to speak from the woman's side. As the wife's side, we have a lot of hats that we carry, and we definitely have to deal with all three components. And I'm not saying men don't, but I'm saying we definitely, because sometimes we tend to, the stereotype, women are a little bit more emotional. And then don't put in, like you have kids, you have more than one. I just have one. But having children, period, the whole thing, when you're talking about pregnancy, from that on, until they grown and gone, you are dealing with so many things, because you're trying to raise another human being and pour in what a woman could pour into that child, and then let the husband pour in what they could pour. You know what I'm saying? So you have to make sure, if you're not whole, if you're wounded, if you're hurt, if your emotions are all over the place, if you are in a mental distressed place, what are you going to be pouring into those children? Or what are you going to be pouring into anybody that sees you if you're just in the store?
Yes.
Right. So I know what you're doing is such a great initiative, because again, I think we as women have to slow down sometimes, like you say, rest, and we talk about taking accounting of your life. We did this on a video not too long ago, where we talked about how we have been in this state for 20 years. Lord have mercy. But the point of the conversation was, we decided to take an accounting. What have we done in 20 years?
Wow.
So you had to sit in that thing and really think about it, because you just keep going and going and doing and doing. And if you don't give yourselves the little pats on the back to say, you know what, girl, you did this. You did that. Like we said 20 years ago, we didn't have a podcast.
Hello. That's right. And a beautiful, thriving podcast. Let me just say it for you. Okay.
Say it, girl.
Hey, I hope you are enjoying this podcast episode. We just want to share a few things that's coming up. What are some things that you would like to share that's coming up?
So one of the things that's coming up, because we like practicality, right? So we think it's important to teach couples, if we can, because that's our mandate, to teach couples about practical ways you can enrich your marriage. So one of the things that's coming up is our cohort. Okay. It's a 6-week cohort for couples. We only do this a couple times a year. So basically it'll be 6 weeks of teaching. We'll talk about hot topics, and then you'll have times where we're on a Zoom call, one-on-one, or basically with a group together to talk about different things. So make sure you go to marriagecourserecipe4success.com to find out about the next date for this 6-week cohort. And we're going to see you there, right? Yes. Right. We want to see you there. So make sure you stay connected with us in any way possible by subscribing to our channels. Okay. Talk to you. It is the Bakers. Peace. Spirit. We still were able to accomplish things in the midst of challenges. Oh my goodness.
Yes, Lord. That's the proof.
Challenges. Can you agree that even though it hasn't always been easy, especially your mom, you have had challenges?
Listen, how much time you got? Because when I tell you, being a mother of 3, and they're each so, and you guys have spent time with them. They're each so very different, and they're precious. They're brilliant children, and having to sow into them based on who they are, in addition to still loving and caring for my husband, and then still loving and caring for myself. It's a lot. It's a lot. And it's one of those things, to your point, if we don't stop, take a pause, take into account all the things that we've been able to do, doesn't mean it's been a straight shot. Doesn't mean there haven't been 2 steps forward and 10 steps back. It doesn't mean that we haven't had trials and tribulations, right? The Bible tells us those things will come, but to take heart. Take heart. Like, we have to reflect and really take heart and realize we're doing well. We're doing great as long as you are moving forward. One of my favorite quotes is by Valerie Burton. And it says, when a woman is both passionate and content with her life and her work, she is the epitome of success. And that's it.
Good. That's good.
That's it. It doesn't mean that we accomplish all the things at one given time, but are we content? You know, have we gotten to that place of just being content, even if we want more? You know, are we passionate about what we're doing? Even if it's not exactly where we want to be, is there passion there? If you have those 2 things, you've succeeded. You're doing great. Yeah. And so that's what I like to encourage women with Women 31, like with our networking group. Skilled, Savvy, and Secure is a networking group that is a quarterly group of women who are like launching businesses, but scratching their head at the same time, or are thriving and successful, but just need other women who they can share that they've reached their, third quarter or third quarter profit goal, and not have people that don't quite get it around them where they can't express that. And so it's a group of women where we can rally and cheer each other on, and even answer some of those, small business loan questions or business credit line questions, and really get into that stuff around like-minded individuals. So
that's good. That's all I need to plug in.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And if one of the messages, if anything you get from this podcast, we hope you get women. Men can say it too, but I'm talking about women at the moment. Make sure you take time for self-care. And I keep bringing that up because I had a moment even last week where I felt like I was like in a whirlwind, kind of overwhelmed. I had several things going on. And so that the end of the week, I really heard Holy Spirit said, okay, it's okay for you to rest. I mean, it was like I'm talking. He said, I want you to rest today. It's okay.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, because I feel like, but I need to. I said, today is your rest day.
Yes, Lord.
And at this particular time, he said, go ahead and eat. Just rest your mind, your body, because I have been going on fumes because I needed to meet this deadline for something. And it was just like, wow, that was a breath of something so simple.
So simple.
And it really helped me to reset.
And I love that word. That's one of my favorite words, the reset.
Is it? Reset.
Yeah.
I think it's important to rest and also rest without feeling guilty. Okay, so
Yes.
That's the
that's
big
the
one.
challenge right there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if you resting, attempting to rest, and you're feeling guilty about what you should do, you didn't do, you need to do, you're not resting.
Come
Okay,
on. That's
so you
true.
need to rest and release all of that, and then let things work itself out as
Mm.
well. And then in resting and resetting is going to give you a different perspective. You have a different level, different energy level as well, because you gave yourself time to rest, and now you can regroup, and now you can go forward perhaps with a different plan, a better plan, and an executable plan that's not going to take much of your time, because now you're going to be able to advance it at another level. So,
Talk
and I
that
think it's
talk,
something,
baby.
I think it's something that we all have to learn how to do as well.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Resting without feeling guilt, shame,
Yeah.
or feeling as though that you need to do something when it's time to rest, because ultimately we only are able to do as much as the body would allow us to do as well. And if the body doesn't get this proper rest, eventually it's going to take its rest.
You're
That's the
right.
truth. That is the truth. It will say, "Oh, okay. Imma help you out," you
Mm-hmm,
know,
mm-hmm,
and
mm-hmm,
it will literally shut down on you.
mm-hmm,
And so being, I remember working through a business plan with a friend, and we were mapping out all the content creation days, and she said, "You know what? We missed something. Where's the rest days?" And I was like, "Huh?" Because we got all the content calendar mapped out. She's like, "No, we just like we mapped out the content, we need to actually put on the calendar rest day." And I was like, "You know what? That's wisdom." And so that's what
mm-hmm,
we did. And Daryl, to your point, I'm one to wonder, and I guess this is sort of that counseling mindset. Why am I feeling guilty? Where is this shame
mm-hmm.
coming from? And how do I actually get to that core or to that root and pull that thing up? Because I I'm not supposed to live feeling ashamed or guilty for resting. So it's something that I've learned or internalized, or there's um a belief there that I've got to figure out where is that coming from, so that it doesn't constantly sneak up on my shoulder like, you should be doing XYZ, right? And so once you really get to that point of understanding, why do I feel this guilt? Where's this guilt coming from? You
Yeah.
know, and really uprooting that thing. I'm about doing that work because, again, you can put a band aid on it all day long. You can look great on the exterior, but if you really don't dig into why these things are happening with a therapist or with journaling exercises or a conversation with God, a nice hot bubble bath, whatever it is for you, really figure out where is this coming from, because it continues to push me into exhaustion because I'm trying to avoid feeling guilty or ashamed because I want to rest. Um,
Right.
Yeah, so God don't want you to be, he don't want you to be driven, because that's the enemy would drive you. God wants
yes,
to lead you, right?
yeah,
So if he's leading you, then that's going to be a pace, right?
Mm.
that's
If
good.
you've been driven, then you're going outside of your pace, and you've been driven by something externally.
Mm.
Come on, that's true. And you're no longer in control of the situation. At least
Right,
with God, it's a partnership. And you're
right.
walking and listening and you're with him in the step by step. But when you're driven, you're being
You're
pulled.
all over the place. You can be all over the place, right?
All over the place. Charlotte, you had me laughing to myself. I remember a few years ago being on the verge of just overwhelm and like, oh my God. And I told the assistant director that I worked with at the time, there's just not enough hours in the day. And I tell you instantly, Holy Spirit convicted me and said, well, what all are you trying to do?
Mm.
Mm.
That's
I
good.
knew not to answer that question.
Right. You didn't want to answer that one.
I just pulled back. I just pulled
Not
back.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow. We are so
So
enjoying talking to
so
you.
it's a
This was a great
mindset.
conversation.
It's something that taken place even probably in your youth, or as a child, maybe your upbringing, maybe it was the discipline of your parents that told you you need to do this, that, and the other, and you need to make sure it's completed no matter what. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Right. And so, and if that's a mindset, or it could have been a corporate mindset that you learned in one of the meetings as well, because they will put the pressure on you, to get the work out of you, but you still have to be able to maintain and to be able to manage, the projects, manage your time, and then manage your energy level as well, because we're still yet human. And we know that when it comes to productivity, and if there's money attached to the productivity, what is most important? The money or the productivity?
That's good.
You follow?
Really good.
And
really,
so,
really good.
And I'll add to the pile, if I could,
go ahead.
as we get ready to wind this up. It could also be, another option could be that if you feel like you're not where you want to be, that you don't have any time to wait or rest.
Yeah.
Because you may have projected, I'm going to do this, and I'm talking about from personal experience. Want to do this, I should be here, I should be there. So you feel like you got to keep going, because it's literally a disappointment. That's really what it is.
That's at the root. Yeah.
And you're dealing with that disappointment, thinking that I can't let that happen again. So I got to keep going. I got to keep going, and I don't rest. Right? So you have to really sit down, ladies, what we're saying, and gentlemen, and make sure you're taking an assessment of what, like he said, is really driving you.
Yeah.
Okay, because you need to dismantle that thing, get rid of it, because just being driven doesn't mean you're going to be successful.
So true. So true. And there's a great podcast. I can't think of the name right now. Well, it's called Dre All Day. Work on Your Game, I believe it is. Now he does use language for those of us who can't tolerate a little language here and there. But he talks about, one of my favorite episodes is about productivity versus effectiveness versus efficiency, and how we can get caught up in a productivity wheel. And we're producing, but is there effectiveness to it? And that thing, when I tell you, hit me to my core. I sent it to Laurel and I was like, hey, are we just producing? And then Dre goes a little deeper and says, not only does it need to be effective, but is it efficient? How much time and money and resources did you put into that thing to be effective? And so it totally changed my mindset on producing, because I can produce and create. I'm a creative at heart. I can do that all day long, but how effective is it? How effective is it? That's so good. I definitely want to reiterate that to your audience. Most people who are driven or who have goals aren't afraid of producing, but we've got to take into account if it's effective and if it's efficient.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm gonna use that word.
Yeah,
I'm gonna use the word that you don't necessarily like. Now that's balance, right?
That's balance right there.
Yeah, that's balance. That's balance.
I go with that word right now. That is balance.
Yeah. That's balance. Wow, it's been so great talking to you.
Yes,
I'm just like
you.
Just like couch conversation.
I know it.
Like,
we've got to do this again. Absolutely.
We have to. Now, before we let you go, we started this thing where we ask our guests. We have like 3 questions, and we ask them at least one of those. So I just want to ask you this particular question. We've been asking this one a lot, but I think it's important. Do you think everybody has a purpose, especially now that you're working with young ladies, women between, you said 18, 19, and 43? I think I got the numbers pretty close.
Yes,
do you think everyone has a purpose for life?
The short answer is yes. I absolutely think that everyone has a purpose for life. I think that finding that purpose is part of life's journey. And I love to say, it's the happy in the doing. It's actually in the doing that we figure out, I'm actually purpose for this because I've put in the energy and I'm doing it. I'm living the purpose. Yeah.
That's
So
great.
yes, everyone has it.
Great. Now, do
Mhm.
you have a podcast?
I do. I do. It's called Woman 31 Living with Lyric K. Wilkinson. Lyric is my stage poetic name.
Okay.
When I'm in the poet scene. And it's LYCRI CC.
Okay.
LYRICC, excuse me. Lyric K. Wilkinson. But yes, Woman 31 podcast.
Okay. So
Yes.
how can we or our audience find you? I know one of the things is go to your website, women31.com. Is that correct?
That is correct. And I hang out on Instagram quite often.
Okay.
Woman 31 Living Co.
So
Um,
there's the IG one, and
there we
then
go. That's it.
yeah. And what else were you saying?
Oh, there's a Facebook group.
Yes, this
And
one.
so, yep.
Okay.
So there are multiple ways to connect.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
and then you have a private Facebook group, so they'll have to at least contact you first on the regular side, and then I guess join that group after you've given them permission, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So again, on IG,
There you
it's
go.
IG at woman31living.co. Great.
No doubt.
Huh? I said dot because I get used to saying
Company.
dot.
Yes.
Woman31 Living Co.
Yes. Find me on
You can see your
Instagram,
website.
and you can shoot me an email, KhaliaWilkinson@gmail. But yes, multiple ways to get in touch with me, and I'd love to meet you, get to know you, if you want to learn more about Woman 31 Living.
Great. You have anything else for her?
No,
As we
I
wrap
think
this up?
it's been a great podcast. You got a lot to offer. You got a lot.
Yeah.
You're doing a lot for your community and also helping the generations. You helping generations, okay?
And thank you.
And which is important, that you're impacting them in such a tremendous way that you're able to help them to become what they are to become, a young lady that should be productive in society, but also should be whole.
Yes.
And also have a vision and a purpose for their lives. And a lot of times when a person is so broken, they may not have a vision for themselves, but if you're able to help them to identify it, and then you're giving them purpose to live and to live on purpose. So that's tremendous and that's beautiful. So thank you for being a part of the kingdom that's effectuating change in our lives of individuals.
And I would love to collab with you on some things coming up. Do you have any events coming up in the rest of this last quarter of the year? Anything?
Oh, yeah. So we have the Skilled Savvy Secure networking event actually next Friday for women business owners. Every Tuesday, 6:30 a.m. Central Time, we have the She Rise morning prayer call. And that's just 30 minutes, but we all have such a great time laughing, cutting up, just praying for one another. And we do a devotion. So that's the She Rise prayer call every Tuesday morning, 6:30 to 7 a.m. Central Time. And then in December, the end of the year, we'll start the Rested and Relevant Grow group again with just going through that conversation series with women who are, it's a good season to remind ourselves, right? To be rested and relevant. December. And so we go through it and try to center ourselves and not let all the Christmas activities overpower us.
Yes. So ladies, this is for our conversation has been for anybody, but specifically ladies because of our company. So single ladies or married ladies, make sure self-care, remember that's the top of it. Make sure you get in contact with Miss Khalia at Women 31 Living and make sure you connect with her. And I think that's where we're gonna gonna end it.
Yes,
If you have anything else you
I
want to
just
say?
want to tell them, mention that they've heard or connected through this amazing podcast. I definitely want to put reference where they heard. And I think that, again, you all are doing such a beautiful and amazing job. You inspire Laurel and I. And you have a beautiful daughter, and I'm so excited to learn that we have family ties and are connected.
Yes. Now tell them real quick how long you've been married.
13 years on September 18th. We just celebrated. Yep, we just celebrated 13 years.
Great.
September 13th, you said?
18th.
18th. Okay,
and we've been married 23 plus years. Mwah, mwah.
Love it.
March 18th.
March
18th. Oh, y'all have an anniversary coming up again.
Yeah, again. So, I mean, it's good, you know, married. It's good when you're with the correct person.
Amen.
That your life partner that has your vision, you know, that has your back as well. Yeah. And let me say, I must end it with this, but, you know, when you're in a relationship, your spouse that allows you to be who you are. This guy allows me to be who I am. Sometimes silly I am, but he allows me to be who I am. And that has been such a breath of fresh air coming from bad relationships in the past. He lets me be me.
I love it.
And when you are married, I'm going to say the last bit, that should not change. When you preparing to marry someone, they should not be trying to mold you into their image.
Come on.
You are a daughter, in our perspective, or a son of the Most High.
That's right.
So he is the one that has the mold for you.
That's it.
Just putting that out there. I don't know.
Drop that wisdom. Drop that wisdom.
Sounds like a message right there.
That's part 2, ladies and gentlemen. We will be back on to finish this discussion.
Yeah. Well, we know you have your hubby and your baby, so we're going to release you. Thank you so much for being a part of this podcast. We'll be talking again.
We said hello.
Okay? Yeah, and the baby.
Yeah, I will.
Baby, but yeah, tell them we said hello. And we'll be talking soon, okay?
Yes. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Wow, that was another great podcast. Our guest, we were so grateful that she joined us on this podcast. And so we're going to keep it moving. And we hope you enjoyed it. Yes. And so we just want to talk about a few things before we release you, to let you know about some of the things we offer. First of all, our website is enrichmymarriage.com. You can go there and check us out on that website. We have several, but that's our main one. And we talked about, we like to combine practicality with spirituality. So one of the things that we do, if you're in the Georgia area, we provide what we call Tablescape Rendezvous for Two. It's basically a 2-hour pop-up escapade where we come out, we pop up, we have many different things. So you can always go to the website and check that out and book your Tablescape. So basically you pop up, we pop it up, we give you prepackaged food, and you just sit there with your special honey, and we have some activities, and then it could be on your back deck, your back porch, it could be in the park. And so that's one of the practical ways we feel you can even get some rest, even though you're resting together, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Another thing we want to talk about specifically to married couples, we have something coming up real soon here. It is our marriage cohort. All right. So it is a 6-week course. And so 23 years plus of marriage and counseling, couples, engaged couples and married couples. We have the opportunity in this particular cohort to help you share or find out information that we want to share. So again, it's 6 weeks. It's a cohort, so you'll be with other couples. It is information we've recorded, and plus we have weekly or every other week where we come together on a Zoom and talk. So make sure you go to the website, marriagecourserecipeforsuccess.com, to see what the next upcoming date will be for this course. Invite your other couple friends, because again, the more the merrier, and we'll be looking forward to sharing that time with you. Okay. Let's see what else we want to say. Book releases, you guys know. What's the one I just released, babe? Oh my goodness.
The Profitability of Suffering.
Long suffering. Oh my goodness. That is an ebook. I want you to make sure you get your copy.
Please.
Okay, go to our Linktree Marriage Enrichment. That's where you can find it. And I just know it's going to bless you. I'm just going to leave it at that. But it was a process based on my life. And that's how this kind of came about through, like I've said before, through meditation and that message I received. All right. Another book that we wrote together for married couples is Marriage Takes 3. Yes. And some of that we'll be using in the cohort for the 6-week course. So make sure you go. You can go on Amazon.com and get that. You can go right to our website, enrichmymarriage.com, if you want a specialized signed copy, and we'll get that out to you right away. And I think that is about it, honey. What do you think?
I think that is.
I think that is. So just look for us around town. You know, check us out. Again, we're everywhere. And he laughs when I say that, but you know, we on Twitter, or it's now called X. We on Meta, we on IG. Oh man, TikTok everywhere. We be TikTok and IG, and yeah, we on even Pinterest. Okay, we're everywhere. So make sure you check us out. You'll be seeing this podcast real soon, but go to our Linktree to get the link to find out who's coming up next. That's going to be released not long from this podcast. So make sure you check us out. Okay. Anything else, honey?
I think that's about it. Just
all right.
Like, subscribe, and also hit that notification button.
Yeah. And thank you for joining us.
Our YouTube.
Yes. Thank you for checking out our YouTube channel. Please. We thank you for spreading the word. Again, we are the Bakers, right? And I'm Charlotte, and he is
Daryl.
And we endeavor to help couples. We endeavor to help people, but it's specifically married couples and engaged couples to build that foundation that is necessary for you to build generational relationship and wealth and business, all the things that you're ordained to do while you're in this life. All right. So we'll talk to you soon. We'll see you around town. All right.
All right.
All right. Peace. It's the Bakers.